Hi, I'm Juanita and this is my overview of my 5-day lesson plan for education technology. The reason I chose this topic, which was influential characters, was because I always thought it was great when students had some educator to look up to and sort of model their life after them. And I thought this 5-day lesson, would be a great opportunity for students to express how they felt about someone who's had a great influence on them. On day 1, the goal for my lesson was for the students to reflect about an influential person and turn it into a poem, which we were going to read in class. The assessment for it would be that they create an original poem. A couple of the things you're going to need are copies of Sonia Stone's Dear Teacher, and that's a poem about some influential teachers on the students' lives. You're going to need an overhead projector, which is a great technology so the students can look at it, and then they'll each have their own copies for the class. Once you've read over this and the students are able to pick out some of the good qualities of being an influential teacher, the kids can create their own poem modeled off the one that we read in class. For day 2, the students are going to create a short story, kind of doing the same thing. The purpose of this whole 5-day lesson is that the students are doing little projects to build up to the final project at the end, which is writing a tribute about the most influential person in their life. So on day 2, they're going to write a short story about the person, which would be the assessment. For this day, it is necessary to have the computer lab and for the students to have access to the internet, because they're going to be looking up some people that they may want to write about. Obviously, if it's an influential person in their life, they'll probably know something about it, but it doesn't have to be someone they have a personal relationship with. But they can also have someone like Martin Luther King or some president or something like that. So the internet is definitely technology that's going to be used. The internet is down for the day. Going to the library and looking up books is a great backup plan for that. In the short story, it could just be a couple paragraphs about that person, including specific details of how that person influenced them, whether it was through how they acted or their writings or speeches they gave, or anything of that matter. For the 3rd day, the students were simply going to create a list of details once they had chosen the person that they wanted to write their tribute over. When they do this, they're going to work in groups and then have a checklist of different things that they're going to do. Microsoft Word is a big thing that's going to be needed, because to make sure that everyone is clear with the understanding, the teacher and me will create a checklist online once we came up with one as a group collaboratively. And then I'm going to print off and run copies for everybody. If they see that they don't have enough details in this will help them out, because they'll be able to add to it or whatever. And if they think, once they have the checklist created and they can see what they have, they're going to have to go home that night and come up with 5 more specific details. Because for the tribute, it's important that I know exactly why that person influenced them and such. On the 4th day, the students are going to be coming up with a draft for their tribute, because in the end, once all the tributes are done, they're going to be put together in a class book of the tribute. For this day, it's going to be necessary to have an Elmo and a computer, because an example of one of the tributes will be placed on it for the students to have reference. If this doesn't work that day, it'll be a backup plan to have a copy of it, a hard copy, so that it can be walked around and looked at by the class. On this day, the students were also going to be receiving the rubric for the final tribute. I think what is so great about this 5-day lesson is that each day the students are receiving points for the building up of their final big project. On the last day, the students should have their tributes completed by now from homework and given lots of class time through the various lessons. But during the introduction, the students are going to watch, whether it's on YouTube or from a video camera or placed up on the television set, a video from last year's class presenting their tributes for each person. So once that's watching, students will have an idea of what they have to create in the end for their final project, and they'll be doing it as a class. You could do it in individual groups or individually if you wanted, but I think it would be easier for the students to make sure they get it done if you do it in class and they have 30 to 45 seconds to talk about who they're going to do it and what their trivia about and why they did their trivia about them. This way that it can be done. The children are all going to be graded on their short story for a few points, their poem for a few points, the tribute rough draft, and then the list of details that they've created, and then also their final tribute, which is the big chunk of their grade, and the video that they'll be creating. A lot of technology goes into this. This 5-day lesson, you need the Elmo, the overhead projector, the internet, Microsoft Word. You're going to need video camera and computers. Make sure you're easy access to the computer lab. Of course, the library and the chalkboard are always good for backup plans. If anyone ever wants to have any questions, just try and locate me. Bye.